Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to people joining. Good morning to people joining. We will be starting the webinar in a few minutes. Thank you for joining today. I'm going to give it another minute or two. And we will see who comes on and start our presentation. Thank you to everyone who is joining. And we will start in another minute. Thank you very much to everyone who's joining. We will start in about a minute. Okay, we're going to begin. So good morning, and thank you for joining our second Ask the Doctor webinar. My name is Carol Egan, and I work for Hammacher Schlemmer, specializing in pain relief and supplement categories. I will be the moderator today, and we will be speaking to Dr. Scott Palmer. Before we get started, I want to mention a few things about the webinar. The first 40 minutes, I will be interviewing Dr. Palmer, asking him a series of questions about different medicinal formats or formulas. And additionally, we will be discussing CBD and CBDa related to those formulas. At any time, you can type in a question into the Q&A that is situated at the bottom of the page. My colleague Melissa will be watching your questions and organizing them so that we can answer them in the last 10 to 15 minutes of our webinar. We recommend that you wait till the later part of the webinar to ask your questions, as we believe we will answer many of them as we go along. On the Zoom call, all of the participants will be on silent and the chat function is disabled. The call is being recorded. In the next few days, look for an email from Hammacher Schlemmer with a copy of the recording. Additionally, it will be available on demand on our website. Finally, note that at the end of the webinar, we will have a savings coupon code to save on future purchases. Now let's talk about what we're going to cover. All right, in case you didn't know, Hammacher Schlemmer has been in the business for 175 years. We have been selling the best, the only, and the unexpected since before the Civil War. One of our top categories is in personal care for customers searching for items to treat pain and inflammation, ease anxiety and depression, improve mood, promote relaxation and sleep, or just improve their overall well-being. This webinar will cover the discussion about different medicinal formats. At Hammacher, we now sell topical and ingestible items. This morning, we will be talking with Dr. Scott Palmer to answer the questions shown here. Why and when to use topical products versus an ingestible oral one? For topicals, what's the difference between cream, body balm, sticks, and serums? For ingestibles or oral products, what is the difference between a tablet, capsule, tincture, or gummy? And what are the benefits of CBD and CBDa in pain relief, beauty, and skincare items? It's our goal that by the end of the webinar, you will know more about these treatment formats and will have a better idea how to treat your symptoms. Again, if you came on late, we will spend about 40 minutes learning from Dr. Palmer, and we'll have about 10 to 15 minutes at the end for questions. You can send your questions via the Q&A at any time. Note that we are taping this session and we will send out a link after this meeting. Now, let me officially introduce our special guest. Hi, Dr. Palmer. How are you today?
Good morning, Carol.
Thank you for being with us. Can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Sure. I am a internal medicine physician. I've been in practice here at Rush University Medical Center in Chicago for about 30 years. And currently I am doing concierge internal medicine in addition to doing other interesting things like doing sports medicine. I'm with the Chicago White Sox and Chicago Bulls. And I've been involved with our two little biotech companies for about 15 years, developing new medications to help people with their lives and their health.
Can you tell us just a little bit about the Chicago Bulls and the Chicago White Sox? I'm sure some people would be interested to know what you do for them.
Sure. So I started this about almost 20 years ago with the Bulls and the White Sox. And I am one of the medical team doctors who rotates through the games. There's at every professional sporting event, there's usually an orthopedic doctor and an internal medicine doctor who are at the game. So I take care of our team. I take care of the visiting team, take care of the referees or the umpires, depending if it was baseball or basketball. But it's a very fun thing to do. It's occasionally challenging. There's always interesting things that come up. But what's great is that I get great interaction with players. I understand more about the dynamics of sports and health and management of pain. So it's given me a great background to help my own patients.
Excellent. And you mentioned that you work with some companies in regards to CBD and CBDa. Can you just explain a little bit about that? Because we are going to touch on that later today as well.
So back around 2005, 2006, me and a group of individuals founded a company called Synthonics. And what we did is we developed a technology where we can discover and develop drugs. We take FDA approved drugs, we improve their properties by binding them to biological metals. So what that does is it improves absorption, it enhances the activity. And our lead product currently is a thyroid medication that's in a phase 2 FDA trial in Chicago, University of Chicago. About 8 to 10 years ago, we discovered that the cannabinoids, particularly CBDa, is a product that likes to coordinate with metals. And so what we discovered through development is we were able to create a stable product using metal coordination, using magnesium actually. And that's sort of how we founded our next company called Chylocure. And from there, we've developed multiple products and have been shown great success in helping managing lots of different medical disorders, including pain, anxiety, nausea, just depending on the type of product that's used.
You are a very, very busy guy. So we are going to leap ahead a little bit because we're going to dive into the topic of the day. And we're going to start with a poll. So the topic of this webinar is about different types of medicinal formats. To begin, we are going to do a poll to see what types of formats people are currently using. The poll is going to pop up on your screen, and you can select multiple answers and then click submit. So I am going to launch the poll. Okay, you can see the poll on your screen. And again, it asks, what medicinal health product formats do you use? So you can check multiple items, and after you check those, you can then just hit submit and it will come on to the information for me, and then I will share that with everyone. So we'll take a minute here for people to put in their answers. Looks like most of you are understanding how to do this, which is wonderful. And we will, once everyone hits submit, we will go ahead and show that. So I'm going to still give it another minute Just going to say right now, it looks like creams and lotions are everybody's fan favorite, along with capsules and capsules, but tablets and capsules. I will come back to that in a minute. All right. Looks like most everyone has their information in. So let me end the poll and I will go ahead and share it. All right, hold on. Okay, so hopefully you can see this. As I was saying, most people looks like tablets and capsules are pretty significant, 75% of people using those, along with creams and lotions. And we have a couple people taking ingestible tinctures and gummies, which are growing and on the rise, body balm sticks, serums, gels, and patches. So we've got a little bit of everything. Thank you guys very much for providing that information. That'll certainly help us as we're going through and discussing. And we're going to, hold on. Hopefully I shared that. Did I share that, Scott?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so we are going to continue forward and we're going to define, first off, the differences between topical and ingestible. So Dr. Palmer, could you explain a little bit about these two different terms and what we're going to be talking about today?
Right. So topical, as it implies, is application of the product onto a skin surface, typically. The value of a topical product is that it can work locally. It can get absorbed through the skin layers. It usually doesn't go much deeper than the areas that it was applied to, but you can get quick local relief for a variety of medical issues with the topical products. They differ as far as absorption or potency. I think people have used like things like Bengay, Tiger Balm, other lotions and creams for various things, and people certainly are comfortable with the use of topical products. The obvious difference between the topical and oral is oral, you are consuming and it gets absorbed either through the mouth or more likely through the GI tract. So when we consume something, typically more of a tablet or capsule, it passes down into the stomach where it starts dissolving and it gets absorbed in the small intestines. So that product gets more systemically absorbed, meaning the blood supply from the GI tract takes the product and starts circulating around the body.
Right.
It oftentimes goes to the liver first, though, and the liver will often start breaking down the product. So there's this concept of bioavailability. How much of the product is broken down by the liver and neutralized, and how much then passes through and gets into the target organs, whether it's in your muscles or your brain or your kidneys or wherever the target is.
Right, and that's what we're actually going to talk about, is how these different types of topicals and different types of oral treatments vary with that treatment. So let's dive into oral first, and we're gonna talk about each different topics as we go along. So and just Bengi is someone who's helping us. Bengi, if you could show that first topic, thank you, which is absorption.
Yes. So going back, when you ingest something, it's at the first site of potential absorption is going to be in the mouth. So, but when it comes to tablets, first of all, what we note is that depending on a lot of things, is the properties of the tablet. It typically needs to be dissolves in the stomach. The acid of the stomach sort of breaks through the tablet coating, and the product is released in the stomach and then goes downstream. And
Dr. Palmer, about how long does it take for something to get from your mouth to your stomach?
So it depends on the transit time is usually just from the peristalsis of the esophagus. You swallow things and you can feel it go down, like you consume something you drink, you can feel it pass down into the stomach. So it's relatively quickly.
Okay.
The always the question comes, and I'll go through then the absorptions for the capsules.
Yep.
Certainly there's variable absorption, again, depending on the nature of the capsule itself, the design of the release. We purposely design the release in our capsules to be a little bit delayed because that actually improves the bioavailability. The amount of medicine that ultimately gets in the body. Tinctures are formulations that you put on the tongue, and it's absorbed through the oral mucosa. So the onset of action can technically be quicker than it would be otherwise if you consumed it as a tablet or a capsule. And then gummy bears are interesting because you can both get some absorption from the mouth. A lot of the product that you consume, though, goes down into the stomach, is broken down, and then absorbed subsequently. As far as speed to the system, both capsules and tablets usually take about 20 to 30 minutes. That's the nature of most oral medications, whether it's a blood pressure medicine or it's an anti-inflammatory. It usually takes about 20 to 30 minutes for it to start hitting the bloodstream and start to affecting for whatever purpose that was consumed.
Well, and that makes sense when you think about, when you're taking something for a headache, right? You're taking an Advil or a Tylenol, and it doesn't instantaneously work, right? It takes about 30 minutes for you to begin to feel some relief.
Right. So you'll hear things about immediate release or expedited release. Really, you can't get quicker than 20 minutes when you consume something orally.
Gotcha.
Unfortunately. And when it comes to tinctures, because the oral route, through the mouth, the product could be absorbed through the more oral mucosa. The onset of action can be a little bit quicker, so maybe about 15 minutes. And then gummy bears actually have a quicker onset, theoretically, because again, it's broken down in the mouth, it can be absorbed, but then the rest of the gummy that's consumed, it can be released over the next half hour to a couple hours.
Gotcha. All right, great. On the next topic, which is the dosages, can we talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So tablets are designed to accommodate probably most of the product. The product is contained in this tablet that may have some kind of a coating shell, and pharmaceutical companies design these coatings to release depending on how they'd like the product to be absorbed in the stomach. You can oftentimes get a higher dose in the tablet itself. Capsules are, the nature of the capsules is you've got the outer coating of the capsule and then you fill the capsule up. This is what we do with our capsules because we want to delay it breaking down. We don't want it to be broken down in the stomach. We want it to break down in the small intestine, which helps ultimately improve the bioavailability of the product in the bloodstream.
Interesting.
Tinctures, are variable depending on what you're looking for. Sometimes the limiting factor of a tincture is the taste. Some people just only use a couple drops on the tongue or in the mouth, swallow the balance. So you may not get as much as you would otherwise get within the tablets or the capsules. And then the gummies are relatively low dose, but they're actually easy to take, convenient to take. Sometimes you have to take a couple gummy bears. I don't know, sometimes people take multivitamins or vitamin D gummy bears. And they're easy to take, they're tasty, and it's become a very easy way to administer medications these days.
Excellent. And then let's talk a little bit about taste. I'm sorry, delivery system.
So as I was alluding to before with tablets, it can, when they say quick release, it's probably no quicker than 20 minutes, even at the best scenario. Oftentimes people, let's say, have blood pressure medicines that are delayed release. So oftentimes it's designed to be released over a span of 8 to 12 hours, right? For a twice-a-day blood pressure medicine, for example. Same thing with extended release. just the way the tablet is designed. Capsules, by their nature, are acid resistant, the coating. So the goal is not to get it disintegrated in the stomach, but to pass through the stomach where it can then deliver the product in the smaller intestines, which provides, again, more a prolonged release, and depending on the medication, can deliver the product over a longer span of time and make it more convenient to consume. Tincture, again, bypassing the GI tract, can give you very quick delivery. An interesting thing is that when you consume tablets and capsules, it's got to go through the liver circulation where it can be broken down. Tinctures sometimes can avoid that breakdown, and you might get more into the bloodstream and into the target organs than you would otherwise get with the tablets and the capsules. And then gummies are just really easy to consume. No water, you can pop them whenever.
Right.
And I think our gummies are great. I mean, taste wise, they're easy to consume, and people really enjoy them.
Yeah. And so speaking of taste, let's talk about that a little bit.
Right.
Tablets could be a little bit bitter.
Tablets, if they linger in the mouth too long, you can taste the coating, which is typically bitter. Although some companies design the tablets to be more flavorful, like Advil. If you were to pop a couple Advil, and you could tell that they got a sweet taste to them. Capsules are pretty much taste less. They're easy to consume, so you wouldn't taste anything really when you consume a capsule. Tinctures, because cannabinoids are effectively a sort of a leafy product. You can taste the earthy taste that's contained within the cannabis flavor, which is not distasteful at all. It just is something that people get used to. And then gummy bears allow us to put all sorts of different nice flavors.
Right.
Pineapple, mango, you name it.
Exactly. And so then let's talk about some of these. What are they best for?
So the tablets are good because you can know that the amount that's going to get delivered. You can adjust their dosing depending on the situation and reason why you're consuming them. Capsules are good to just being more versatile. You can take them at least less frequent dosing. So, you can take them twice a day. Sometimes tablets you have to take 3 to 4 times a day to deliver the same product. The tincture is good for quick absorption. You can get delivery of the product more immediately. If someone is like saying, I've got this achy elbow, I'm going to try to see if the tincture can deliver the product more quickly. That would be definitely something to consider, and maybe why someone would want to use a tincture over the other products but although the other products deliver more of the product through the systemic circulation, may ultimately give you more benefit. And then the gummies are just easy to swallow, great to go on the go. And so those are nice to, you can put it in your purse or, just with you at all times.
Yeah, I mean, and the beauty of gummies too, I mean, there are people who, are unable to swallow pills. So it's nice to have another option that, they didn't have those 20 years ago. So
That's right. That's a good
those.
point. Some people just have an issue with capsules and
right. All right. So this was a little bit about oral. Let's talk a little bit about topical as well. So in the topical world, again, let's talk about absorption. And we're going to talk about creams and body balm sticks and serums.
Right. So cream was the first product we came out with. Creams are great because you get really good absorption through the skin. Our product is designed to get absorbed more deeply because, the skin is a natural barrier. You obviously, you come in contact with something, the skin protects us from this product getting absorbed. You know, there's a fat layer, and then there's a sort of a water layer in the skin. So products have to have both some solubility in both fat and water to get through the skin layers. And our product has both of those. So that's why when people apply the cream, it can be absorbed within a span of maybe 5 to 10 minutes. And people can certainly notice local relief of symptoms. Let's say they had an arthritic knee, or they sort of wrenched their shoulder. When you apply the cream, people get pretty prompt relief of their symptoms based on its absorption. The body balm stick is designed more, though, to have more long-lasting effects. It has conveniences because it's sort of a oil matrix that's applied, and so it's a little bit less messy. It can be applied on the go very, very easily, and the effects are a little bit delayed, but it can probably last longer than the cream. And then serums, by their nature, are designed to penetrate the skin most quickly, and people can notice the benefits relatively quickly.
And I guess for the most part, that's because what they include or they don't include in them. So, which is the next kind of thing we're going to talk about, is what's inside creams versus body balm sticks and serums, and also what's not included. So thank you. If you could show both of those slides, but thank you. If you could talk a little bit about that, Scott.
So in our creams, we use shea butter, which is a very natural plant-derived oil that's used in lots of cosmetic creams, proven to be very, very safe. It's got a moisturizing effect. So we use the butters and the oils, we combine it with our product with a fragrance, and really that's it. It's very, very clean. And that's one reason why it's absorbed so quickly, and it can also moisturize the skin. The balms contain more plant oils and such things as waxes from beeswax. And you can tell when you apply the balm, it's sort of more of a oily matrix that contains the product, but it's quickly absorbed. And if it's good to apply to maybe drier areas like on the knees, the elbows.
Is the body balm stick similar to like a chapstick?
Right, it's exactly right. I mean, that kind of chapsticks formulation it's the same thing. Balms are used and are just more convenient if you have to apply it quickly and don't have to want to keep rubbing that in or letting the product soak in as it would be with creams. And then the serums are water-based, so that can help enhance absorption through layers of the skin to deliver the product quickly and deeply as well. What the creams typically don't contain water, as the body balm stick does not, but the serums do contain some water, but less lubricating products, less oils, so it doesn't leave an oily residue as much when you're using the serums.
And one of the things we wanted to talk about was, again, what are these best for? Thank you.
So the cream is sort of the all-purpose product. It can be used anywhere, and because it's easy to apply, it's easy to rub in for a very large area. If someone's has like lower back pains or quad tenderness, or their entire knee is inflamed from activity levels, you can apply the cream there, and it can get absorbed relatively quickly and start to work within, again, as I said, about 10 minutes.
One of the things you mentioned earlier, Scott, was creams, you rub them into your skin and there's kind of this absorption level. When someone rubs in a cream, is it applying to just the skin? Does it get to the muscle below? Does it get to the nerve endings? Is it getting to these other layers that are to make it effective?
It actually does get to deep layers. It doesn't get systemically absorbed per se. I mean, that's always the question is there are products that if you put, let's say, a nitroglycerin patch, for people with heart problems, that patch, the nitroglycerin does get absorbed into the bloodstream. So it's variable. There's people sometimes use Voltaren patches, which is
Yep.
diclofenac. That gives local analgesic relief, but some does get absorbed systemically. Our experience is that there is not much systemic absorption of the Chylobinoid cream. It does get down into deeper layers. It does affect the underlying muscle, and there may be some systemic benefits from the cream with prolonged use over time. And we'll get into this more. The cream itself's got lots of the shea butter is great for inflammation and dryness, but the critical thing is that the CBDa product is the product that reduces inflammation. It helps to repair damage to the muscle layers because it's an antioxidant as well. And this is why this is an exciting area that we're now realizing how much value there is in using Chylobinoids for skin injury, damage, pain,
Right.
and inflammation.
And I want to say, for everyone, the differences between creams and body balm sticks and serums, no matter what product you're using is relevant. Dr. Palmer, of course, has experience with our CBDa product, so we are going to speak about that, and that's actually one of the next line here, which is how do our CBDa versions work with pain relief specifically?
Sure. I just want to finish up quickly on the best for the serums. Are great for people who want to use this like for facial areas. It seems to hit a balance between both dry and oily skin. But the interesting benefit may be rejuvenation of skin. We know that some of the higher end products contain interesting things like retinol, which is a sort of a vitamin derivative, vitamin A, and hyaluronic acid, which is actually something that's naturally in the skin. So the exciting areas of use of these products is that people can have some degree of rejuvenation of damaged skin, which is exciting. As far as the CBDA versions, as we talked about, the CBDA again has anti-inflammatory effects, which then can cause injured or damaged skin or muscles to have less pain if someone is using that for that purpose. It is useful for people with arthritis or traumatic injuries, let's say falls, or let's say you came off the golf course or you're off a ski slope or off the tennis court. Some people will apply these products and notice that they're going to get significant relief. The body balm is great on the run when your application of the cream might not be as convenient, but a lot of people love it. I think of a lot of our sports medicine people recommend the balms for patients of theirs who are active because it is so easy to use. And then lastly, as I mentioned, the serum, for people who are concerned with maybe over sun exposure or dryness, the CBDA can, and there is good information and data, and I have a couple of references at the end of the podcast that medical references that talk about how CBDA in itself can increase the moisture in the skin and actually can help rejuvenate damaged skin.
Right. So on the next slide, we're actually going to talk a little bit about some of the topical skincare items that Hammacher sells. And Bengi, if you could go to that slide, it's some of the topical skincare items that we recently launched. And these, as you can see, we have 2 creams, and we have one of them is a mask, which is really kind of a cream, and a facial serum. Can you just talk about putting things topically, particularly on your face, some of the benefits of using charcoal or vitamin C and just CBD as well, CBDa specifically, on these types, using these types of products.
Right. So these products are very natural and clean. It's got very few products. They're all natural. Certainly is the facial serum, as I alluded to before, contains healthy emollients that help to moisturize the skin. The CBDa in itself reduces inflammation. It can improve rejuvenation of the skin. It has antioxidant properties, meaning it can repair damage. The charcoal face mask, I think, is used for people to help clean pores and dirt that can remain after a long day, or doesn't, maybe if people don't want to use stripping soaps, can actually help to clean the skin very effectively. And the vitamin C is interesting because vitamin C has good data of vitamin C itself has been shown to be an antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, and there may be benefits between having both vitamin C and the CBDa in helping, again, with the skin aging effects, the sun damage, and when I say rejuvenation, I'm alluding specifically to wrinkles, spots, acne, blemishes, such as that.
Excellent. We want to talk a little bit about Chylobinoid, which is what these products are made from. As you can see on the slide, we do sell all of these products. This was kind of the precipitous of how we ended up doing this particular webinar, because we wanted to talk about the difference between topical treatments versus oral treatments. And we do sell all these different types of things, including our cornerstone cream. So we are going to talk a little bit about what makes these products different and unique, and we'll hit those next. If you could talk a little bit about these, Dr. Palmer.
Sure. So I think one thing that I always talk to people about is that people want to know, why do these things work? And I always go back to the fact that we all have an endocannabinoid system in our bodies that evolved over thousands and thousands of years. And these endocannabinoids are in our body naturally, and they regulate things. They sort of regulate lots of systems. And it was known that for thousands of years that these marijuana plants, the hemp and the marijuana plant, contain these products, which really helped people for thousands of years. The product that we are focusing on is actually the product made by the plant, the hemp plant itself, which is CBDa. Typically, people will take the product and then convert the CBDa to CBD. And we know that CBDa is about 1,000 times as potent as CBD, which is important when we want to apply the product depending on whatever route we use. We have a plant down in our company down in Blacksburg, Virginia. We grow our own hemp locally. We also purchase high-end hemp, and we use it from the state of Virginia. Can you put up the next?
Yeah.
We formulate it again with this magnesium, and magnesium is a natural biological metal which greatly improves the absorption and tissue penetration, as we've learned. It also will stabilize the CBDA so that it's much easier to absorb when we consume it orally. It gets through the liver to deliver the products also in muscles much more effectively. We also add a little bit of 0.2% menthol, which is also known to have pain relief. So people sometimes can detect the menthol aroma. It's not so prominent, but it seems to work nicely together.
That just makes people think about Bengay a little bit, right?
Exactly. That's right. We are certified we got inspected all the time by the state of Virginia for purity, consistency. It contains no pesticides, metals, mycotoxins, and such. And I said before, one interesting thing is it is at least on a receptor about 1,000 times as potent, but when it comes clinically, about 10 to 100 times as potent as any CBD product you can consume. And based on this, our proprietary way of we produce this, we have many patents on our other products, but we submitted a patent back in 2019, which is still pending regarding these products.
Hoping it comes through soon.
And then lastly, everybody asks how much THC. Let's say, what if I use this and I get drug tested at work? Or what if, for whatever reason, by law, it contains less than 0.3% of THC. THC is the product everybody knows can cause euphoric type effects. But our product, we do a certificate of analysis on all our products, contains less than that 0.3% threshold.
Wonderful. We're going to talk a little bit about, we've got Chylobinoid has a bunch of different uses. Our cornerstone cream and our other products are great for pain, but there are also many other uses. So if we want to talk just a little bit, just because of time, about the different types of pain that this is really a lot of the topical as well as the capsules that we use for different types of pain. But could you just explain what types of pain these treat?
So everybody asks us, can it help with my neuropathic pain? Diabetics who can have painful feet and extremities. It certainly has really good data on improving that type of pain that we see in people with prior trauma with subsequent neuropathic pains. Certainly diabetes is a big one, and we have had practitioners use the cream very successfully to help alleviate neuropathic type pains. Arthritic pain is just the pain from degenerative arthritis, which is the arthritis of aging. I use this cream myself on my knees after I go for a run, and it definitely has shown to have a reduction in the amount of pain you feel after any kind of physical activity. Muscular is a big one. Everybody has aches and pains from a variety of activities. It definitely can reduce the pain and inflammation when applied locally. People sometimes just notice in general, more typically with oral administration, that general inflammation is reduced if they consume it orally, are the other types of pain if people want to use the capsules. And then a lot of people now are using it more for more skin type conditions.
And I just wanted to ask about the capsules and the gummies, because I know we personally have had some people in the Hammacher office who have talked about using those for migraine pain, headache pain, which is not really referenced here per se, but
right. Well,
very good for those as well.
So if we were going to get a little deeper into it, the Chylobinoid, CBD in general, will affect serotonin receptors. So serotonin, as we know, the receptors mediate a lot of things. It mediates mood, anxiety. We use it it mediates nausea. It also, serotonin and agonists also treat migraine headaches. So people will notice other, unintended consequences of consuming these things is, oftentimes people use those gummies now for improving their mood, helping them to sleep. Sometimes they have headache pains. They have other aches and pains. And so that's how broad the application of all these products can be, including people with migraine headaches.
On the next slide, these are some of the things you were just talking about. Sorry, excuse me.
So yes, so inflammation, whether it's consumed orally or topically, people can notice a reduction in aches and pains from the products. A lot of people are interested in the use for anxiety and depression. I think it's more of a natural type product to help people with anxiety and depression. Some people don't want to use pharmaceutical drugs. And again, the way it works is the endocannabinoid system helps to moderate and modulate our mood a lot. And so really the products sort of hack into that natural system And a lot of times people sleep better as in point number 3, because they're more relaxed. It doesn't make them sedated, but they're more comfortable, relaxed, and it sort of helps induce more natural sleep. Certainly people will notice improved mood. It's interesting to have people who are anxious or depressed, and they'll sometimes use it along with their other current medications, and notice that they feel better overall, which is also interesting. And then, the early studies in animals about 15 years ago showed that the CBDa and CBD is very, very good for nausea, which is interesting. And that's, again, through the serotonin system that it works.
That's great. So we've covered a lot, and we are going to talk about some questions, take some questions and answers, or take some questions right now. Because we covered so much, we're actually going to divide the questions into 2 parts. Part 1 is about the different oral and versus topical formats. And then part 2 will be questions about Chylobinoid. So if you have any questions, we're going to start with any questions about oral or topical formats. You can ask them now in the Q&A at the bottom of the screen. And Melissa, who is working with us, is going to kick us off. And Melissa, if you could ask the first question.
All right, we have quite a few questions that have come in during this session, some very specific ones on these products, Dr. Palmer. So I think you'll be excited to answer these. The first question is, what type of ingredients are in the gummies, and how do you figure dosage? And are they high in sugar or artificial coloring?
Those are very good questions. There's gummies. There's a whole gummy chemistry. There's as we learned, we sort of delved into this, and there are the consistency of the gummy. It's sort of a gum-like product. It's a pectin type product, which sort of is this matrix that can mix in with our product. It also has the flavoring. I think we both make mango and pineapple. It does have some sugar in it for taste, and that is balanced. I would say that people describe the gummy as the chewability is excellent. The taste is very attractive. It's a little bit tart but sweet, so it's very easy to consume. We typically only probably have like 25 to 30 milligrams of the Chylobinoid itself within each gummy, which oftentimes is enough for someone to consume. Sometimes people will take 2 of them if they'd like, but it's more of them just experimenting what are they using it for, and to try 1 to 2 gummies at a time and see if it gets the effect that they're looking for.
Great. The next question is it possible to overdose with CBDA? And if so, what are the typical symptoms?
So there has been the work we look to regarding this is there's a FDA approved product called Epidiolex, which is pure CBD. This was a drug produced by GW Pharmaceutical, and it's 100% CBD. It was approved by the FDA in about 2019, and it's used for patients with epilepsy, which is really interesting because we know CBD can not only reduce the frequency and severity of seizures, it's also used now and looked at now more for things like Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's, chronic neurological disorders. And in those cases, sometimes the dosing is up to 1,500 to 2,000 milligrams of CBD a day. Now, people ask, well, what could be the adverse effects? There's new studies that show there is really no adverse effects even at the higher doses of CBD. I mean, when I talk about adverse effects, I'm talking about changes in liver enzymes, if there's any liver toxicity or bone marrow toxicity. There doesn't seem to be. Some people describe maybe GI effects, maybe a little bit of nausea, a little bit of diarrhea with the higher doses. In our experience, over the last 6-7 years, we've had people take upwards to 500 or 600 milligrams of our CBDA a day with no adverse effects. And these are people who are on other medications. These are people we checked very carefully for liver enzyme elevation or blood changes. So I would just say that the safety profile of these products is remarkably good. And I think this is a function of the fact that they're such natural products.
Great. The next question is it okay to take these products both orally and as creams at the same time?
You certainly can. There's no real reason not to. I mean, sometimes I tell people to try one or the other and see if you get that benefit. Some people have said, well, I like them both, but I think they work better together. There is no reason why you can't try them both. I personally have been taking the 100 milligram CBDa capsule myself since 2020 from the COVID outbreak. I think that there's data that it may help prevent changes associated with COVID or long COVID. I think the jury is still out from clinical studies, but I will use the cream and the capsule simultaneously myself, and I've done this for about the last 3 years, and really have not seen any problems whatsoever.
Good. Kind of along those same lines, is it safe to use these products multiple times a day?
Yes, there's really, as far as the topical products, there's no limiting amount of times you can use it. As far as capsules, our experiences are that people have taken upwards to 500 milligrams total a day for many, many months with no adverse effects. These actually for patients much more severe diseases. We had a patient with a glioblastoma, a brain cancer, who was taking this in addition to their other products. And, in fact, that probably reduced his frequency of seizures that he was having, certainly helped his mood. And so it's really intriguing how well these may work with other medications. I think if people, there is some data about some of the anti-seizure medications like valproic acid and clobazam. Those are products that should be monitored if you do take the CBDA, but we have not otherwise run across other problems with other medications that people consume.
Good. How about the lotions? Do the lotions expire? And if it's over the expiration date, do you need to stop using it?
I think our experience is that the lotions sort of can break down with time, even though they're in the jar. I think if they're exposed to the heat, they seem to sort of layer out into different layers. If you shake them up, you can remix them again, or if you stir them, they can reconstitute to a point. But I do think they may have a shelf life. It depends. I mean, there's nothing dangerous to use it after expiration date. It just may have a changed consistency that people would prefer to get a newly whipped. When we produce the product, we mix it and whip it with shea butter, so it sort of becomes sort of that kind of consistency of the cream when people first get the new jar. So there's no reason, honestly, to not use it. It may not be as effective.
Great. And then can you just touch on the hemp grown organically out in Virginia, and should it be in general?
How the hemp is grown?
Yeah.
So there, lots of farms all over in the South have sort of converting themselves from tobacco to hemp. I think the science has become very advanced. They grow this very naturally. They grow it now, since the hemp plants itself are naturally resistant to pests and other bugs. They don't use pesticides. They fertilize it. They're grown in a very natural environments. The harvesting really uses no toxic products. We don't use any aromatic solvents to extract the product. And so when people get our product, it's a very green product, and we're very proud of that because it's as natural as if someone got it directly from the plant itself.
Okay, and here's a good one. Is there any benefit to taking CBDA before exercise?
That's a good question. And I think I do take it before and it's hard to do a control study against yourself. I suppose you can say, okay, let me see if taking it up front. In theory, and so always the adage, and with our athletes, we would tell them to take anti-inflammatories before an event. Like I tell my golfers or people playing tennis, take 2 or 3 Advils, a half an hour before you get out on the court or in the golf course. And you might find that you can, the aches and pains can be reduced. I think that this would work in the same way. If you consume the product, the oral product, and even the cream before activity, I think people would notice this reduction in the aches and pains. It may possibly improve your golf score, I suppose, if on the back nine that aches and pains, you've got that better rotation. And so I think it has great potential benefits to take it up front before an activity.
And Melissa, our last question.
Our last question is another very good one. Can you just quickly explain CBD versus CBDA again? As many people on this call see CBD everywhere,
right?
But now kind of just touching on the CBDA part.
So when we started all this, we didn't purposely want to get into the marijuana market. The reason we were drawn to this market was that both CBDA, which is made by the hemp plant, and THCA, which is made by the marijuana plant, they're both acids. They're very, very potent, but they were very unstable. So people typically in the early days said, CBDA is an inactive precursor to CBD. They go through the extraction process and they ultimately get CBD. Well, it was discovered early on that CBDA is about 1,000 times as potent as CBD, and THCA, which is really interesting, it doesn't cause any kinds of euphoria at all, is about 1,000 times as potent as THC. So what we discovered was that when you coordinate it with a metal like magnesium, it becomes stable. So that's why we're able to make it into a powder. That's why we can make it into capsules. That's why we can put it into creams and balms and such so easily. You won't find CBD in capsules or tablets so easily because CBD is very poorly absorbed. When you consume like 100 milligrams of a CBD tablet, only about 6 or 7 milligrams gets into the bloodstream, whereas about 60 to 70 milligrams of our product gets into the bloodstream. So that's a huge difference.
Yeah.
As I said, about 100 times as potent. Our product is also not only fat soluble, but water soluble. I think people in the food and beverage industry are looking to integrate CBD products into drinks. The problem right now, though, if you try to put a CBD product on a drink, whether it's a cocktail or mocktail, the CBD floats on the surface of the water because it's like oil and vinegar. Our product actually dissolves in water. So there's great potential future value to using this in the food and beverage industry as well, which is also another interesting feature of this.
Very interesting. We are running out of time. So I do want to say thank you, Scott. If you do have a question that did not get answered, or if you think of a question afterwards, you can you can email us at webinar.hammacher.com. Thank you, Bengi. And then on the last slide, first off, Dr. Palmer, thank you very much for joining us today. This is great information. Thank you to all of the participants on this call and for all your great questions. Finally, as our way to say thank you, we have a special offer of 15% off of your next order. To find all the products that were mentioned today, you can use the URL hammacher.com/webinar. And a reminder that a link to this webinar will be sent out via email within the next few days. Thank you again to everyone and have a great day. Thanks again, Dr. Palmer.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye.